that weren't match fit or were injured. A lot of them that he brought in because they were very they were faithful to him compared to the players that had mutiny and wanted him kicked out. Which what we hear is that he was making like 4 million a year or something like that, and the Uruguay NFA just couldn't afford to buy him out.
Yeah, they were saying it was a lot. It was a lot like the Tata Martino saga with Mexico, where it was like in the 6 months before the World Cup, they should have fired him, but because of the contract and everything, they didn't. And
well, supposedly he said he offered his resignation, and that they convinced him to stay. Because I remember around that time he wasn't even staying in Mexico. I remember hearing that he that was Torrado and I forgot who else, and all those people that were involved got let go. I didn't know that, man. That when I heard that, it upset me, and I was like,
you're right. No,
why would you do that, man?
They were out their welcome like before the tournament, and both teams needed a change. Obviously, there were different situations, but it's kind of just looking at Bielsa, except for the screaming, he looked the same as Tata did after the Saudi Arabia game, where they just they knew their.
We expect a crash out at every World Cup. There's always one country that you hear have like a a meltdown, whether it's locker room or whether it's the coaching. There was a documentary about the France 2010 team that's on Netflix. I highly recommend watching it. It was basically like Anelka was like separated from the team, and he went to go to the coach to apologize, and the coach like avoided him. And then, the whole team found out, and they actually refused to train. And then they all sat on the bus waiting to go back to the hotel. And then they made somebody like read out the statement, which ended up being the coach. And it was just like a whole thing. The guy wasn't picking players based on his horoscope and based on their signs. It was pretty bad,
Wait,
Go ahead.
From that documentary, so I'm trying to remember if that was the team. I'm pretty sure it was. They had some of the players had gotten into they were being investigated because they had been flying around an escort that I think was like 15
that
or
was
so.
Benzema. That was later.
Benzema.
That was later.
But I know it was around the World Cup.
Yeah, but that was before him. That was like 2018, I think.
No, it was.
No, I remember it. I remember because I remember when I heard that, I was like, "Oh, Mexico has them."
Yeah, it was around the 2000 because I remember on the message boards people would be, "Oh, está mejor la muñeca de los franceses." So it was Ribéry and Benzema.
Yes. There you go. That's like I couldn't remember. Ribéry looks like he's like in prison.
All right. Stay with me, guys. Stay with me. So there's always a country that crashes out, and I'll be honest, you could probably go back to 2023 when we had fired Coca, or maybe it was during that time when we got rid of Tata and we were talking about the next, obvious candidate for the job, and Biesla's name always comes up around that time. I know for sure I was one of those people asking for him. And in hindsight, now we're looking back and saying, man, did we just like avoid a fucking disaster? Because look, Uruguay has players at Real Madrid. I mean, they have players that are in the top leagues in the world. And I think like Bielsa being the way he is and drilling people and making them train and overanalyzing the game, I don't think it works around a set of superstars. I think it works for a team that doesn't have anybody, and he allows them to, like a young team that you'll just like let them mold. He'll let you like mold them into the team that he wants. And I think with Mexico, he would have had the respect, and I think most of the players would have been on board with his style. But for Uruguay, it just didn't work out. But maybe you guys can correct me if I'm wrong.
No, you
look at. I'm sorry, Joel. Look at Bielsa's best job. It was resuscitating Chile. After Chile, I believe it was, if I'm not mistaken, the 2002 or 2006 qualifiers, they were last place. so he came in and he rebuilt that program, and it was he set the pillars for what became the double Copa America champions, and they had a good showing at the 2010 World Cup. And then in 2014 he was no longer there, but they call them the cardiac team, the cardiac kids, because of their high pressing soccer. So I mean, I think of the national teams, that's his best work right there. But I mean, it's just because again,
That
like
and
said,
probably leads getting them back into the first division. That was
but
probably
national team. But it goes with what you said, Jaime, that his best work is without named players, without super rare, without Eagles.
yeah.
And when he took over that Chile, like I told you, they were in the dirt. So he had to build that program.
There was an interview, it was from a while back with Loco Abreu, and he was talking about why he didn't like Bielsa, and he said he was trying to rebuild their whole system from the ground up, which is what he does. And he said that they had for 15 years already had a system that had been pretty good, and that it didn't need to be torn down. And I think that was what ultimately led, to the demise, because they weren't doing that bad. They finished third place Copa America. In World Cup qualifying, they finished fourth place, but they were only 1 point. They were tied in points with Colombia, I think, and then they were like 1 point behind, like second place. So I mean, there's a good qualifying campaign for them. But
But you know what's a crazy stat that I heard Mauricio Pedrosa, and I saw it next to, that Uruguay has not won a World Cup match without Luis Suarez since 1990. So I mean, that goes to show you that it's
well, they missed 94. And I don't think I remember them in '98.
But they missed it. But that's even worse. They didn't even go.
Yeah.
Remember, it was because they would do the well in 90 was it in '98 they lost I don't know, they had to face Australia in that playoff, and I think they exchanged wins, but it wasn't, honestly, it wasn't until like 2010 when Uruguay came back, like they reestablished themselves. But it seemed like it was mostly with Suarez and Cavani. It was a golden generation that they had.
Yeah, see, they didn't go to 94, 98, and
they had good teams. Remember,
so, yeah.
they had
2002.
good players. They had well, Francescoli was he was still around, and then Recoba was emerging, and they just couldn't get to the World Cup. And then when they made it in 2002, they were ousted in the first round.
Where the big criticism had been.
We have Habibi
for
joining
just
us.
real quick.
Yeah.
Well, real quick, finish. Then he could take over. One of the main criticisms back then for Uruguay was the whole Garra Charrua. So their games used to be very a lot of falling, and the style of play had already evolved. It used to work for them way back when there wasn't any cambios. The other team had 3 injured players. They have to play like that. But now with the cards and card accumulation and all that, it was biting them in the ass. And I think what Abreu was talking about was the whole, they had managed to improve on that and find something that had given them success. And and then Bielsa came in to try to flip.
Habibi's been patiently waiting to jump on. Welcome, Habibi.
Hey guys, hope everyone's had a good day so far.
What's up?
Me personally, it was brutal, man. I'm not used to having one game all day.
Yeah.
I don't think it gave me a little view into what the future awaits. I don't think I'm ready for the World Cup to end.
I feel the same. It's it's like that feeling like, oh man, we were so used to a couple games per day. I think not since the opening day, right? We had Mexico, South Africa, and then we had, Korea, Czechia. That was Thursday and Friday were the only days where we only had 2 games, and then after that it was just like 4 a day or like 3 a day. But now just one. I think it was a missed opportunity for a Sunday not to have like an evening game. So that game, the one earlier today with South Africa, I was so excited to watch it, and then I almost fell asleep. And it's just like, damn, bro, like what a missed opportunity, huh?
Jaime, from Monday to Friday, we're gonna have 3 windows, man, and all knockout, man. It's gonna be quite a week.
It is going to be quite a week. I just not sure why they decided to just do one today. I feel like it'll be harder for people who work during the week to catch these elimination matches in the middle of their day. Japan and Brazil kick off at 10 a.m. And then we have a game at 1:30 and then a final game at 6 p.m. But Habibi, let me ask you, who was the biggest deception you think that got eliminated?
I would have to go with Uruguay as well.
I can barely hear you, man.
The
Oh, there you go.
Yes, I would say Uruguay. Uruguay for me. Same thing as everybody else. All the drama that they had leading up to it. Once they get knocked out, Lugano saying that everybody saw it coming with his coach. It just screams Tata 2.0. Same thing. The fat contract that he gave him. Someone mentioned that they probably couldn't even buy him out, even if they wanted to. And yes, I would have to go with Uruguay. Everybody else is kind of expected results. And then I'm also a believer that to do well in the World Cup, to win the World Cup, the stats back it up, your coach has to be from your nation. So I don't understand these these countries going for a foreigner. Maybe Ancelotti changes that. It's not going to be this World Cup, maybe 2030. But they just need to stop with the foreign coaches, man.
Thomas Tuchel also comes to mind coaching the English national team. There's only been, I believe, 3 foreigners ever that coached the English team. I know, oh my God, I just had him on top of my head and I fucking forgot his name. He was the Italian guy. He coached Real Madrid as well. He coached England. Forgot his fucking name. And then they also had Sven-Göran Eriksson, which didn't work out.
Oh, you're talking about Capello?
Capello, right? Yeah, he coached England.
Damn, I forgot about that.
Yeah, he did, dude.
Well, I'm a little pushback on Habibi. I think World Cup champions have always been from the team that wins it. So there hasn't been a foreigner who has coached the team to a World Cup. But there's been foreigners that came in and then they did good. Xavier just pointed out Bielsa with Chile. Mora came in and Mexico in '86, quinto partido. And there's been a few that have done okay. I still agree with him though. I feel that having a coach from your own country that knows the players and knows, like the attitudes, of how the country is and how the players are. I think that's more difference.
Did you consider the Volpe a foreign coach?
No, because he just by this point he had been in Mexico like half his life. I know he was forged in Argentina, but he'd been in Mexico so long. His kids were born there. His whole life, he wasn't someone that he got his bag and went back to Buenos Aires. He stayed to live in Mexico and he's coached all these teams. He's very Mexican now in a lot of ways. He still has that accent, but just being in a country that long, his grandkids now are like born in Mexico. I think his daughter married Chiquis.
Yeah,
if I'm not mistaken.
And another daughter married Flavio Babino.
there you go. Well, I don't know if he counts. He's at 4G already, so I don't. He didn't go too far. Or 4? Was he just born in Max? I don't know. Anyways, not. I don't consider him. I know he was born, but just having been in the country for so long. Um, but yeah, I think some countries, because some countries aren't going to have, they're just not going to have coaches, because a lot of these countries don't even have decent leagues. So they're going to depend on a foreigner, but at least try to bring someone that's.
Yeah, but
You know,
if you're
gonna-
like one of the main countries, you should know that.
Oh yeah,
This is
yeah.
like, you know, Brazil, like Habib mentioned, Brazil, they're taking a massive gamble on Ancelotti. England as well with Tuchel.
Yeah.
You know, England.
But look who they.
Look what.
No, I mean I'm just saying for Brazil, Ancelotti is just not any coach. He's basically at the top of his game, man. He's top 3
I know.
of the coaches right now, and so it's you know, I think, and there's something we've talked about here, Jaime, where we've talked about how because they have all these Euro players, they probably felt they needed a more Euro style coach, which is something Mexico tried with Sven and it failed. But I think Brazil must have been like, these dudes, les falta barrio. You know, they're not playing in the favelas, and they get taken at a young age to Europe, and they're more used to that stuff.
They're used to partying with European women at age 18 instead of being with the favela girls.
Yeah, so you know, this is the first time they've expanded it to 48 teams. Again, that whole like top, the best third place teams. You know, they took the top 8 from that. It just seems like they didn't really think this through. Like I mentioned earlier, Algeria and Austria were like, no, you can win. No, you can win. No, please, you know, allow yourself. Like, no, you can have it, you know, and the winner ends up getting Spain. So, you know, I just think like shit like that could have been avoided if they just didn't do a 32.
Do you think, Jaime, do you think there was a conspiracy there? Because everybody said that they did that so that Iran would go through.
I don't know about all of that. I just know that as a team, you know, representing your country, you should not have any other thought than wanting to go out and win the game. You know, you play at the highest level.
Jaime, you know who you need to tell that to?
Who? Oh, sorry, you got muted. I can't hear you.
Oh, my bad. I was going to say, you need to tell that to the Norway coach. I was so disappointed that they came out with their bench, man.
I would have been so pissed if I bought those tickets ahead of time, knowing that they were going to play each other, and you know, probably seeing Haaland and Mbappe being marketed for that, and then seeing what they did. It's embarrassing, dude. I mean, especially for the fact that that group wasn't liquidated; like they were still fighting for first place, and the fact that they went out there with their bench that's fucking embarrassing, dude.
Well, it was telling what Haaland said 2 days before the game. Like he didn't care about the game, that France was going to win, they're probably going to bring champions, and that they had accomplished their goal of qualifying. So I mean, I think you know that was foreshadowing what came, and there was no secret there. So.
And we have Adidas DC on YouTube saying, yeah, Messi went out there for his fans and scored. Shake my head, not like Norway. Take notes, Haaland.
Yeah. I agree, man. You know, like you said, you pay big money, but more importantly, as a fan, you know, Norway, is this like their first World Cup in forever?
Since 92.
And it's like,
I think.
98. I thought it was 94.
No, 98. 98.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But yeah, look at that. And then you want to see your best of the best compete against the best of the best. See, what do you have? You know, it's like a boxing match. Can we hang with these guys? And just to see it happen like that, the goalie, everybody gets rotated. It just felt to me like there was like no national pride. And as far as what Haaland said, that was him playing mind games. Because Guardiola, he learned from Guardiola. Guardiola does the same thing. By Haaland saying that, he threw all the pressure on France.
Yeah, he's like, oh yeah, they're probably gonna win the whole thing.
Yeah, and so that's why I thought he was gonna play. I thought he was starting the mind games already.
Yeah,
But it was being honest.
they had that dope ass like comic anime like animation. You know, I saw on Twitter where it was like France, and all of a sudden they get the fucking warning that the Vikings are coming and invading their territory, and it looked like it was going to be this badass showdown, and then in the end we didn't get any of that, and we got denied a really great finish to the group stage. We got denied that. They're not going to face each other in the next rounds unless they meet, you know, in the final or something. Like, it was just a missed opportunity, and I'm really upset. And honestly, there should be like penalties for this. I know in the NBA, like starters have to play a certain amount of minutes. Like, it's like an NBA thing. It's like a rule, like for the fans. You know, you can't just be like playing your fucking bench and reserve players. So I feel like there should have been something that FIFA should have done to incentivize teams to not just go out for a third game because they're already qualified and, you know, they're just playing for shits and giggles. I also have to, you know, that game, the Argentina-Jordan game, was very, very suspicious. Argentina had been awarded 7 penalties in their last 10 World Cup matches. Germany and Brazil have 13 each in their entire 80-year World Cup history, over 23 tournaments. And the Jordan goalkeeper on some of these, especially the free kick with Messi, bro, what the fuck was he doing there? It's just these things that you see him like, there's no defending Messi, bro. He's never going to beat the allegations.
The guy who fouled Messi, he posted on Instagram, dreams come true, praise to Allah. And it's a picture of him like defending Messi. Like, I don't understand like how you're a fan from that country and that does not upset you.
They're just happy to be on the same pitch as Lionel Messi. And that's not the kind of opposition you want in the World Cup.
And our guys, some of them did the same thing in 2022, and that pissed me off.
Oh, they did. They did. Yeah. Let's see. We have Bring Disco back. If Pep ever decided to coach Mexico, Joel and Ron would pick Wiki or Juarez over him because they're Mexican but have no legit experience. I don't know what that comment means, but maybe if you can clarify, Disco. Appreciate it.
I could clarify, at least for me in my take, because I've always been more very nationalist, and I've said this pretty much every other pod. If you look at Mexico, other success, all the cups they won, pretty much been with its own coaches. Everything from Olympic gold to Confederaciones, the majority of gold cups. So I do. That's why. But Pep is. I mean, I've never been against a foreign coach, but Pep's like kind of out there, you know. And I don't know how he would do with Mex because I've only seen him in teams where they're stacked. So I don't know. I don't know if he could do that with a team like Mex, you know. Could he get them to compete the way he gets those big teams?
So now we know our opponent in the round of 32. It's going to be Ecuador. You know, at one point we thought it was going to be Scotland. Who else was being thrown in there? Uruguay. But in the end, it's Ecuador, which is not ideal. They won their last match against Germany, albeit Germany had already qualified. They were resting some players. Germany was actually up 1-0, and Ecuador were able to turn it around. How are we feeling about playing Ecuador in the round of 32 in El Estadio Azteca? Are we nervous? Are we confident? Are we favorites?
I think I'm confident and we're favorites. And I think the key is because they're similar teams. They like to they like to put a lot of men in the midfield, and they like to mostly attack out of a 4-3-3. They're very similar. They're solid in the back. So the key here is gonna be the midfield. Who does Vasco roll out with? I've been hearing it's gonna be most likely Lira, and then the two offensive guys. They're pointing at Fidalgo and Mora. So they're gonna have to I like that. You're gonna need some creativity to dice through that solid back line. So that I think the key is gonna be just the offensive midfields, and I don't I see another. It's gonna to me it's gonna be another scrappy game where Mexico will if they if they win, I think they're gonna win, but I think it's gonna be like a low scoring affair, 1-0.
With all respect to our Scottish listeners, I was hoping it was Scotland because I saw us already in the round of 16. That was going to be an easy opponent. With Ecuador, they have Premier League winners, back-to-back Champions League winners. They have a great midfield. I think they were the best defense in the South American World Cup qualifiers. So, I mean, they're a solid team. However, everything that Mexico has shown at to this point, with us being at home, the altitude playing a factor, the fan base being pretty much pro Mexican, it's us. It's us for the taking. I said it the last episode. If we don't make it to the round of 16, no, not the round of 16, quarterfinals. If we don't make it to quarterfinals, to me it's a fracaso because you can't win 3 games in the group stage in a soft group and then get knocked out in the round of 32. You end up where you ended up in Qatar. Like, you have to go far. We have to win. I say the pressure is on us, not on them.
Yeah, there's no way you look at this matchup and say Mexico is not the favorites based on the fact that we finished the group unscathed without any goals against us, and the fact that it's in our backyard, that we're playing in La Azteca. It's all the pressures on Mexico to beat Ecuador. Ecuador are lucky to be here. They weren't able to beat Curacao. They tied 0-0. They lost to Ivory Coast. So I mean, they're only here because they played a Germany that was, again, rotating their squad, resting their players, and all of a sudden, all you got to do is knock out Mexico. You're in the round of 16, and your World Cup is saved from embarrassment. So the pressure's all on Mexico for sure. I do think we have what it takes to beat them, but like every other opponent in the World Cup, we cannot underestimate them. I think Ecuador is going to be a really good test for us. We've beaten them in the World Cup before, so this is nothing new. But, history doesn't go into this. Tomorrow, or not tomorrow, but Tuesday, you forget about what you did in the group stage. Forget about history. Forget about your head-to-head. It's about who wants it more and who's going to step up. And, Mexico have done a great job of not conceding a goal. And I'm very curious to see how this team will respond when that happens, if that happens, against Ecuador. So, it's a really good test for us, and it's unfortunate that it happens at the round of 32 and not in the round of 16. Looks like we have Abdias joining us. Welcome, man.
Buenas putos. ¿Cómo andamos hoy?
Good, man. Hey, Abdias, here, let me give you a clap. So Jaime didn't give you the traditional clap.
Oh, no, I did. You guys just can't hear it. Yeah, I have the soundboard working.
But you know what? When the homies do it, it counts that much more. So here's my question, though. Do you really think Mexico's going to go out there and try to slug it out with Ecuador? I don't think so.
What do you mean slug it out? Like tú por tú, like Mexican style boxing?
Pound for pound.
No.
Pound for pound,
No.
carnal. No, vamos a ratonear.
They're going to be like
Va a ser
the
un
Korea
pinche
game.
Va a ser un juego ratonero. Entonces, prepárense. Don't be expecting fireworks. Don't be expecting any of this. All right? Va a ser lo que va a ser. We're going to go into defense. Güey, te apuesto que está Edson en center back y luego tenemos a Romo allá atrás.
Yeah, I think Aguirre is going to come out super conservative and try to just nullify that midfield and offense. So I think we are going to get a game very, very similar to the one against Korea.
Well, all 3 games have been like that. I mean, South Africa, it's the first game, is the home opener. You wanted to please the crowd. but from minute like 20 to 60, it was boring as hell. And then against Korea, Czechia was the same thing. You know, the first half, just wear them down, play it safe, don't get scored on, and then come in the second half and try to wrap the game up. And maybe it's intentional with the altitude. I don't know, but I'd be surprised if we have more than 2 goals in the first half.
First half, I'm talking about the whole fucking game. I'm seeing it probably like 1-2. Mexico goes forward because, I'm never going to go against my own national team. But I don't see us, metiéndoles putazos toda la noche. I don't see this being a fireworks show.
No, not how Ecuador plays. They like to, like Albert said, they like to overload the midfield and, just make it a boring chess match. I think it'll be similar to the Ivory Coast game. That game ended 1-0. So, same thing. I think it's going to be like that first half of the Korea game, or maybe even worse. We'll see.
Do you think Ecuador are more threatening offensively than Korea? Because I know they have Ener Valencia, is he still playing in Liga MX?
Yeah, he's at Pachuca.
I think the fact that they went through the second stage, I'll say they are. What I expect them to do is to come out attacking early on, because the thing with the altitude is that the longer you're there, then the harder it becomes. They were doing the stats and showing how a lot of Mexico is coming in the late minutes. So they're going to look for that early goal and sit on that if they manage to get it. If not, the longer the game goes, it's going to go in Mex's favor. So I see Mexico trying to run them down after that. But I do feel they're going to, those early minutes, those first 15, 20 minutes should be pretty intense. I feel, for the match.
So hold on. Am I hearing that we should start Memote para que los desgaste? Porque el Memote es el nuevo desgastador de la selección. Que no se nos olvide eso.
I don't know about that one, Chief.
I don't know, man. Go listen to the last couple episodes. Memote, el desgastador de la selección.
El Memote y su camote.
Wait, I want all that camote with that extra like marshmallow sauce. And if you guys haven't had like camote con marshmallow, you haven't lived wide enough during Thanksgiving.
Yeah, I think we've seen everything we need to see from Memote, unless we get into, like Albert said, in a late game situation, set piece, corner kick, you throw that fucker in there. But I don't want to see any Memote for the remainder of this World Cup. We have plenty of other strikers at our disposal. And I think this is the one where you probably start with Raul based on his experience and based on the fact that he can hold up play, and probably try to penetrate from the wings, or I don't know, because I don't see us changing our formation or changing anything. I think we're just going to continue to do what we did, like, again, similar to what we did against Korea. But I would like to see some speed, some dynamic movement. Mateo Chavez showed what he was able to do against Czechia. Would you encourage him to start again, or is Aguirre going to go back to like Israel Reyes?
No, he'll go back to Gallardo, no?
Oh, yeah, Gallardo.
I think he's going back to Gallardo, personally. I do like the idea of Mateo starting, but I think the safe, pragmatic thing is go to the guy who's been really consistent. He has not been bad. He's been a solid left back these last 6 months. With Aguirre, I would give Gallardo the start.
Aguirre being Aguirre, we probably won't know the starting lineup before like an hour before the match kicks off. He's probably not going to tell any of the players until the day of or whatever. So we're going to have a lot of speculation between now and game day. But, I think with Ecuador, it's a good test. It's early on, earlier than we expected. But at the end of the day, man, it's the World Cup, and you have to eliminate your opponent. It doesn't matter who it is. We're in the knockout phase. You can't underestimate anybody. I think the path was, oh, we get to quarterfinals. We play against England and they choke in the altitude, and we get to quarterfinals. Like, I see people predicting our way to like semis. I'm like, yo, let's slow the fuck down. Let's focus on the opponent that we have at hand, and let's just beat them. Let's beat them convincingly.
We just need Julian to stay in good form, man. That's our best offensive threat right now. It all comes down to whatever Mora, Fidalgo, Brian, Lita, what they do in the midfield, and Julian. Somebody mentioned in the chat that our Colombian and Brazilian naturalized players stepped up, but our Argentinos never do. So that's also another topic for maybe down the road.
It's funny that I'm reading that book that was recommended to me, the Das Reboot, that talks about Germany and how they won the 2014 World Cup. And I got to a page that talked about Ecuadorians, and they were scouting them. And they said Ecuadorians were very hard workers, strong athletes, but that they were prone to losing their heads. They have a tendency to become impatient and don't react well to pressure. So you had to keep them busy all the time.
Come on, bro. You might as well start talking about the Mexican national team and their fans. Because what's going to happen at about the 23rd minute, where Mexico has been playing a very defensive match. And if you've been listening, one of the things that's been said is that the opponent now counts on the Mexican fan base turning on the Mexican team. All right.
They're not going to turn on the Mexican national team. What they will do
Güey, están en la Azteca, donde los abucharon, donde gritaron puto.
It's full of influencers and white Mexicans, bro. It's not like the typical Azteca crew, bro. Let's be honest. Especially now that we're in the knockout phase and those tickets are even more expensive. I will say this. We are gonna hear the puto chant probably. We are gonna see Ecuador every time they touch the ball get booed. It would have to be like a really, really bad case of football. Like maybe we concede early for the fans to actually boo and put pressure on the Mexican national team. There's no way.
I don't trust Chilangos, bro. And you shouldn't either.
There's not going to be Chilangos in the stadium. I'm pretty sure.
You don't trust the Federales?
I'm pretty sure they're doing that skin tone chart thing at the entrance. And if it's like, if you don't pass the chart, they're gonna let, you're gonna be in el pinche in el tianguis or in what do they call it, Tepito, bro. They're not gonna let you in the stadium.
You'll be lucky to get into the fan fest.
It doesn't matter how much money you have at DS, they're not letting you in.
Bro, but like I don't even have that thick of an accent. Like I can shake it off.
Looks like Rifado's on. Welcome, Rifado. I didn't see you there.
Good evening, everyone. You guys hear me all right?
Yeah, we hear you.
Cool. I think I finally fixed my gain issue. Yeah, man, I'm just listening tonight. Trying to gauge how we're gonna do against the Ecuadorians. I do agree with the Gallardo take. By Habibi. I think that's who we're gonna see as much as how many of us want to see Chavez play. I just don't think he's got the trust that Gallardo has. Has had for quite a while now. So I do think we're going to see him. Maybe Mateo deserves a late substitution. I think it's going to go more or less like our last game against the Czechs, in the sense that we're going to play like utter dog shit the first half. Fútbol ratonero, like Abdia stated. And then in the second half, when, the Ecuadorians tire, and space starts to open up and we have time to like distribute the ball, because they're going to be pressuring us. A lot of these type 2 twitch muscle players are going to be running for a lot of the match, and we're not going to have a lot of time to breathe and like play our possession game. So like I think that's all going to happen in the second half, and I think it's going to be more or less like the Czech match. Maybe not as many goals, maybe just one, maybe two. And then maybe we let one in, but I think it's going to be more or less like the Czech one.
¿Sabes qué, Rifado? I'm sorry, man. I'm gonna be honest with you. Soy medio pendejo, pero como dijo el loco, güey, háblame de fútbol como si fuera un taquero. What are these type 2 fast twitch muscles? ¿Qué son?
it's our black brothers, man.
Ah, los chocolatados. No, hombre, güey, esos cabrones corren a raja madre. We need more of those in la selección.
But more African players are used to like sea level, man. And this Ecuadorian team is coming from playing in New York, which is near sea level. And they're gonna have 5 days to acclimate to Mexico City. So I don't know if if they're here already, or they're gonna wait till the last minute. But that's not enough to acclimate. And you're gonna have people like Valencia, who's a little bit more used to it. Maybe some of these homegrown players that are a little bit more used to it. But a lot of these Ecuadorian players play in Europe, and so they're not going to be used to the altitude of Quito, or like playing in the Mexican league, like Ener Valencia.
Well, Rifado, we saw that with the Mexican national team back when a lot of their players were playing in Europe, and then during World Cup qualifying, they were struggling. And Azteca lost some of that. Like you didn't see these players, like they would tire just as much as the rival. I heard that Ecuador wasn't traveling, I think the day off or a day before the match.
Yeah, they do that so like it doesn't hit them as hard. Like it's gonna hit them like later that night when they get to the hotel after the match. But I don't think that works so well. Ideally you want 2 weeks. Ideally you want 3 to 4
Well,
weeks.
they weren't gonna get those, man. They weren't gonna get them 2 weeks, which is what sucks ultimately that Mexico can't play more games there. But I've talked about this just really quick without going off subject. That's why I feel Mexico should want to host the Copa America, and there's talks of another one, and they should really like push for that, even if it's just them playing their home games.
You really think CONMEBOL would let you do that?
Yes.
Well, I mean, if the money's
Hold
right.
on. Más importante, güey. You really think CONMEBOL is gonna take pesos over USD?
I mean, we
well, they could do it both.
We can't even host our own Gold Cup, dude.
Well,
let alone...
there was a Gold Cup.
Yeah, in 2003, dude. That was 23 years ago.
Yes, and they could do the similar thing. They could do something.
They're not going to do that.
Yeah,
why not?
Yeah, Hyman's probably right.
Why not? They want Mexican.
Too sweet, brother.
They're not going to do that.
Bro,
I don't see this happening.
Dude, they've been begging for Mexico to return to CONMEBOL.
Look, because dollars at the concession stand is better than fucking pesos.
Okay,
it's that simple.
Okay, but it's a Copa America. They're gonna host one in Peru, in Paraguay. So it's not like every time they host it in Brazil, or where they can make the most money.
Why would CONMEBOL even entertain that idea?
Because they want Mexico in their tournaments.
Why do they want Mexico in their tournaments?
Because they're the moneymaker.
So it just comes down to money.
Here in Mexico and the U.S.
Do you really think CONMEBOL would sell themselves out to Mexico and allow them not only to invite them back, but allow them to host a South American official tournament? Bro, you are tripping. We can't even get the Gold Cup rights.
Out to the highest
we cannot even get the Gold Cup rights.
Yes.
They let the U.S. host 2 tournaments and could very well let them host the 3rd one.
What Riffy is saying, because I was going to say, look, don't judge a slut by what they're willing to do, but Rifado can say it much better.
So what I said was that CONMEBOL will whore themselves out to the highest bidder. I just don't think it's Mexico.
And that's not like that's not dollars. That's not pesos. That's dollars.
Yeah.
You really think
so? They're
gonna
do it for dollars.
It will go to the U.S. before it goes to Mexico, Joel. Maybe they convince. Maybe they convince Mexico. They can convince. Maybe they can convince Mexico to be like, your home games will in the group stage will be in Mexico.
That's what I said. That's what I said earlier.
The entire tournament, no, dude. They can't even do that.
Because it's in the best interest of both of them. But the entire tournament is not that big.
All right, guys, we got to move on from this topic because everyone here knows that's not happening.
Yeah, it's not happening, bro.
That's an ass one. Come on. Well, the only way that one's gonna happen is if the U.S. builds that space wall that they're gonna want to build in the future. Pero cuando eso pase, güey, then we can have the conversation. Not right now.
I don't even know why we're even talking about this. There's a comment from Disco.
You guys made it into a big deal.
Hold on, let me read this comment. I think the issue with Aguirre is that we are still traumatized by his dumb mistakes in 2002 and 2010. Insult to injury is that you expect the host team to be the protagonist.
Wait, what?
We expect the home
Well,
team to be the protagonist, and
But the
And-
host teams always expect
and
to be the
Aguirre
protagonist.
is gonna play Haram ball. So,
sorry, who made that
So-
comment?
Disco, bring Disco back on
This-
YouTube.
Oh no, Disco. Wait,
Disco.
no.
I mean, it's fair for the fans to feel that way. You know, some people that are in domestic abusive relationships, they think the person's gonna change. We think Aguirre is gonna change. Hopefully, he does change and he doesn't screw us over like he
So
did
you're
in
saying he hasn't
2002.
changed? You're saying he hasn't
It's
changed?
the group stage,
It's-
Joel.
with-
It's the
Oh,
group
with
stage.
all the
He
things
had a
that
great
people were
group stage
saying
in
and
2002.
got them wrong and
It's
got
the
it wrong,
group
and
stage,
still
Joel.
hasn't changed.
We
He
haven't
wasn't
seen
gonna
his.
call
We
youth. He
have
was gonna
not
put
seen his
Memo.
decisions in a KO setting under pressure.
You know, the same criticism, Joel, that you give La Volpe, that, oh, he didn't, you know, he's never won a knockout game. Aguirre hasn't won a knockout game in the World Cup.
In the World Cup, I said La Volpe, I said in tournaments, in all tournaments, outside of Mexico, because he won the Gold Cup. But when he played the Gold Cup in the U.S., he couldn't. When he played Olympics, he got knocked out in the group
Well, I mean,
stage.
I think Aguirre
When you-
deserves some criticism for, you know, the fact that
No, I'm not
this
saying
is
he
his-
doesn't. I'm not
No, I'm
saying he
just saying,
doesn't. I'm
like,
just saying
if you go off of history, like what he did in 2002 was absolutely disgusting. 2010 was a harder one. Like we weren't going to beat out Argentina. But
I
you
know. I
what
wouldn't
he
call
did
it
with-
disgusting. He was fairly new to coaching.
yeah,
he had
dude, but
started,
he
like,
sold us
in
out
late
against
90s.
USA, bro. Come on.
Doesn't matter. You coach, you're gonna fuck up sooner or later. You're gonna make a mistake, or what you think is gonna work completely blows up in your face. So I do think he completely messed up, got out coached, and that's just, you know, that happens. I think O2 second round. I don't think he messed up. It was Argentina, and some of the ball just bounced the wrong way. That was Osorio with the trying to be fancy passing, and he gives it away, and then an offside goal, and that cooked him. And that really, the main criticism from O2 was the Uruguay, losing the Uruguay game, because they would have avoided Argentina. But that wasn't really a bad, you know, it wasn't that bad. It just people made everything seem worse than it was. They're forgetting that Mexico wasn't even going to be in those World Cups. Mexico was like a match from being eliminated. And so all of a sudden they expect this team to turn into world beaters overnight. I don't get that. I don't get that mentality. Same with this team. You even saw people from like other podcasts that obviously they're gonna get their takes from some of the Mexican stuff, and they were referring to Mex as the worst Mex ever. Where was that coming from? So a lot of pundits were saying how shit this team was because, you know, they couldn't win, and it's like that they were playing bad. They just weren't playing up to the high expectations usually put from the media. But Mexico, like when we see Mexico at their best, they haven't been there in a long time. Like at peak Mexico, it just hasn't, and you know, it's a lot of things going on, but it's the same with this team. And not having World Cup qualifiers obviously affected them, but all of a sudden their team didn't expect to get out of the group stage. That was going to get embarrassed. That this
Who
this
said
World
we
Cup
were going to
doesn't
get out of the group
count.
stage?
A lot of people said
Nah,
it. A lot of
who
people
on this
said it
panel?
before.
Fuck
I'm not
what the
saying this
internet
podcast.
says.
I'm talking
Bro.
not this podcast. I'm
Yo,
talking
yo,
in
yo,
general.
hold
Yeah,
on,
bro,
hold on,
you gotta
hold on,
stop
hold on,
there.
hold
We
on,
gotta
hold
stop
on,
there,
hold on.
man.
No, no, no.
Diaz said that
I'll
was
be
a
no,
wash, dude. It was a
espérate, güey,
throwaway
espérate.
World Cup.
Exactly, espérate, güey, no te aceleres.
Ah,
Iba a decir eso. Yo tengo los huevos and I'll say it. It was a
Sí
throwaway
los
World
tienes.
Cup. Let's not focus on this one. Let's look into the future. So, antes de que empiece el pinche amontoneo, aquí estoy, güey. I'll say it.
Yeah, see, I appreciate that, and you weren't alone in that sentiment, and you weren't off either because the results were very tight. You know, who knows what it would have been with Coca or Jimmy, and it could have gone the other way, and we wouldn't be having this conversation right now. So that's just my point, where we go from a team that not much is expected to all of a sudden there's all these great expectations, and
Joel,
No,
mira,
no,
espérate.
no.
No seas tan pendejo, güey. Mira, let me finish this one off for you, anciano. Go sit down. We go from a team que estaba, no hombre, güey, tráeme a los pinches ingleses. Esos putos me la pelan. Los quiero en el Azteca y quién sabe qué. Y ahora estamos como un pinche gatito temblando por puto Ecuador. No
No,
mames, güey.
no, tú también estás mal.
That's no, but that's the fan base. That's the fan base. Ese es el pinche globo que se sigue inflando y que nos vende la puta televisión. Ese es lo que está diciendo Joel.
I always say about Joel saying that people were saying this was like the worst Mexico team and stuff like that. You have to realize the before and after. Cuando le intentamos de jugar tú al tú a un buen equipo, ¿qué pasó? Colombia beat us 4-0. So when we switch to this pragmatic, haramball, and now the results are coming in, and it's also being the benefit of us playing at home, the altitude, wearing these opponents down. But let's not pretend that we won the group stage jugando bonito, jugando chingón, being dominant. And so I do think this team is still very limited. And that is the reason why Vasco, rightfully so, is playing so pragmatic.
But,
And at the same time, Joel, you said that he deserves all this praise, for everything he's done.
I never said he deserves all this praise. Dude. I never used.
Bro,
the
you
word.
always say he
You
deserves
went
praise.
you went and talked
Did I
about
say it
the
right
3-0
now?
record, the clean sheets, playing the youth. Like you hyped up all the things he's done. Rightfully so, he deserves that praise. But when we criticize him for 2002 and other things, you start bringing up the excuses.
No, look, okay,
Like
well,
you can't
here it
get
goes.
criticized.
Well, here's one thing. I'll say that there's friendly loss. Those were they're friendlies, And I'm not saying the fans weren't going after the friendly alone. They were going off from the previous World Cup. So they saw in the previous World Cup Mexico they didn't advance, and even that gets like seen as a bad World Cup when it was pretty average of what Mexico does. They beat who they were supposed to beat. They lost who they were supposed to beat, and they tied who were supposed to tie. They didn't advance on a -1 goal differential, which is pretty shitty luck. Because in 2002, I saw the U.S. advance on they had -1 goals and they advanced, and so that was the whole thing with Mex for 1 goal difference and the groups and whatnot. So it's just luck sometimes. Sometimes it goes your way. Sometimes it didn't go, and that got made to seem like it was a really shitty team. It wasn't one of the best, but it wasn't one of the worst either. But from then on, everything got stacked on, and that's the whole, where the whole worst team ever came from. And
it's not luck, Joel. I'm sorry, but it's not luck. It's like that Korean. It's like the Korean girl said. The waiter told her, "Hey, you guys, we got lucky because your goalie messed up," and she said, "It's not luck. Our goalie messed up. Yours did not." In 2002,
yes, but I'm not saying that gives the opponent. I'm saying with the other results.
Our coach messed up. Their coach did not. It's not luck.
But I'm talking about the other results. For example, when the U.S. beat Panama and Mexico gets to qualify, so you're not something happening that you're no longer dependent on, and so when you end up, having to wait on the other results, and that's where I'm saying the luck comes in because there's nothing you can do about that. Just got to see it played out and see what happens. And so, and for that World Cup with Mex, it just didn't. It finally didn't work out. In other ones it had, and this one it didn't. But that's what I mean, man.
So, Joel, who's gonna win? Who's gonna win on Tuesday?
I have Mexico winning. I have Mexico winning by
in regular time, or are we going to extra time, PKs?
I think they could pull it off in regular time.
I will say a lot of the times going into knockout phase and other, other World Cups that I've seen Mexico, I haven't seen this team. I mean, just from the clips, I'm not in the locker room. I don't see what they're doing on a day, but I see a team that is feeling good. There's a lot of positivity. They're having fun. they're also like a lot younger, especially compared to 2022. I feel like mentally, I think the team's stronger than I've seen in a long, long time. There's a lot of controversy going into that 2018 World Cup, 2022 as well. Like 2014, we were the last team to make it to the World Cup. I haven't seen a team just like looks like they all joke around with each other, and it's like, dude, that also is very important going into an elimination match. You're at home. So I think this team feels very, very comfortable where they're at. And I think they're mentally prepared for this game against Ecuador compared to other editions. But that's just me.
No, dude, you're 100% on that because here's the deal. The way Santi roasted Alexis Vega was fucking beautiful, man. I haven't seen a Menos Valido joke delivered with that fucking artistry in ages. The way he bending his knees like, tómame la foto. No, güey, con madre. That's a team que está junto, que echan desmadre, que ya sabes, güey, cuando tienes hermanos y tienes primos, se pican a las costillas cuando sea que puedan. Fucking love it.
Yeah, and the self-awareness that we're getting from Brian Gutierrez saying that I'm fully aware of all the criticism that I'm getting, and that's not going to happen on Tuesday. So, I think that's also very important to be, critical about yourself and not just being cocky or overconfident like Turkey was when they faced Australia, and how they talked about how they were, tactically superior to them, and then they end up losing 2-0. So, I'm really liking what I'm seeing from these players and from the press conferences that we've seen. It seems like Aguirre's got a very healthy project going on, very healthy campaign going on for this World Cup. And we'll see. I think for me, what I want to see is how Mexico reacts when they concede their first goal, which I don't know if that's going to be against Ecuador or if we end up playing England in the round of 16. But so far we haven't conceded a goal. We haven't seen, Mexico basically have to overcome a 1-0 deficit yet. And I don't know if they're capable of doing it. So I don't know if I want to see it in the next round, but there's going to be a lot of tests. There's going to be a lot to unpack on Tuesday.
Yes, you said it yourself. How will Mexico react when they concede, especially if they concede first? And that's what's gonna be interesante, considering Ecuador bounced back against Germany, and I know you said they rested some players, but still they were on the brink of elimination, down 1-0. And then guys like Musiala, they were on the field. So I mean, they still have good, Rudiger, Neuer. So you're down 1-0 against Germany, you're eliminated, and somehow you pull it off. I mean, I think that's a huge mental win for them coming into this game, because even if Mexico takes the lead, they're not going to tap out. They're here to fight, and it's going to be a difficult opponent. But once again, I don't see how we don't move on.
There's also
So
the Azteca, the fact that we haven't had a defeat in the World Cup in that stadium. I think that's also a lot of pressure. Go ahead, Rifado.
So I just want to touch on one thing. I've been hearing a lot of Pecho Frios, talk about how we're gonna get our poop pushed in by Ecuador, and I just don't think it's gonna happen, man. We tied with them 0-0 in the Copa America about 2 years ago, and we were a much weaker team, and they were a lot better back then. That's when they were leader of the CONMEBOL World Cup qualifying. So that's when they were ascending. They've been kind of flopping a little bit. They've fallen in pedigree since then, I think, and we have fallen. I mean, we have only grown since then. So I think our star is ascending and they're descending. In spite of the victory against Germany. I don't know. I think if they play that match 10 times, they would have lost 9 of them, and we just got the one where they got lucky. I don't think they're that impressive. They do have some impressive players, but I don't think as a unit they've been as successful as Mexico has these past 3 games.
I see Ecuador like that meme of the horse that's like perfect, up to like the head. That's how I see Ecuador. Great solid defense, great solid midfield. That offense, I'm not worried about it, man. I have no worries about Ener Valencia, Plata, and plus the way we're playing, they're like so pragmatic. I think there's very low risk of them even like getting us on the counter. I think it's gonna be a slow fight, so like it's been all three previous matches, and we come out victorious in the second half.
I love the confidence you guys have. I think he's going to play a more pragmatic style, but I do hope we can have this conversation on Tuesday and say we were sweating over nothing. 5-0 finish now, but
I just can't face our Canadian and U.S. counterparts if we're the first eliminated, because Canada's already through to the next round, man. Can you imagine listening to those fucks on Reddit or something?
On Reddit.
Insufferable.
Hey, I'll take Ecuador also over Cape Verde, man. I wouldn't want to face an unknown, and especially a team that qualified out of their group stage undefeated with Uruguay and Spain. I mean, those guys definitely have zero pressure, and definitely give me Ecuador out of Scotland. We couldn't get the easy opponent in Scotland. I'll take Ecuador over Cabo Verde all day, twice on Sunday.
Yeah, Capo Verde, couldn't have asked for a better opponent in terms of playing against Argentina, because I don't think they're going to respect Argentina the way Jordan did and some of these other teams in the group stage. I think Capo Verde is out there to take everyone's cheeks, and they almost did it in the group stage. So it's a bad matchup for Argentina, and I'm glad that they didn't get an easy draw. A lot of people think that it's an easy draw, but it's not.
Speaking of cheeks, they have good-looking women.
Wait, but their fucking goalie, that has been the start of this fucking World Cup. If he doesn't get a hell of a contract coming out, the world hasn't been watching.
Yeah, I mean, that's what they said about the Curaçao goalie, and then he had a terrible second game.
Yeah, but this guy has been consistent. All of his group matches, he was a fucking star for their team.
He did pretty good. What about tomorrow? We have Brazil playing Japan, and I don't know if you guys had caught like the Twitter war that's going on between these two nations, but it's getting pretty racist. And
has it?
Yeah, bro.
Oh man, you know what? I kind of left the internet for a little bit because look, and I'm gonna talk about this real quick. And I don't give a fuck how any of y'all feel. Pero güey, lo que le hicieron a Irán, güey. No mames, la puta sobada de concha. Have you guys talked about it?
Well, how they got eliminated?
Are they officially eliminated? The way they got fucked over on their last game, bro. They scored at the last minute, straight fucking sabotage. Como dijo nuestro hermano, what was it, Catracho? He's like, no, loco, contra la corrupción no se puede. Así no, loco. Nunca se va a ganar así. Porque, güey, no mames, por un medio puto pie o menos, offside.
It was offsides, man.
Nah,
whether it's an inch or the whole 9 inches, it was offsides.
It's more like 10. It's more like 10, way. And for the record, it's pushing someone's shit in, all right? You don't say pushing somebody's poop in. Have fucking respect for them. If you're going to do the act, do it right and just push that shit in.
Hey, speaking of that Japan-Brazil racist stuff Ian said, man, I thought Mexicans knew how to talk smack till I came across the Portuguese, man. Those Brazilians, they have a way of talking smack. Like the Japanese call them monkeys, and the Brazilians responded, we might be monkeys, but you also like hanging out on trees due to their suicide forest they have over in Japan. And it's just like, damn. It makes the Argentina versus Mexico Twitter war look kind of weak, honestly.
No, yeah, they're reaching levels of racism that I've never seen before, and thanks to the auto translate, you know exactly what these dudes are saying.
Why has Habibi keeping that to himself? Why is he gatekeeping this?
Yeah, it's been on the TL, bro. It's been on the
I have
TL.
seen it on the
Yeah.
DM. I have it.
Bro, I
Well, I
got
don't know what you guys
buchonas,
TL is
fucking
like.
links of like Captain Tabusa and some hentai.
Yeah.
Like, I need some of this mixed in there. All right, give me some
I don't
racism.
have that.
Hey,
I'm the
speaking
same,
of
man. I get
Captain,
breastfeeding.
speaking of Supercampeones, I was watching it today with my kid, and one of those kids is called El Príncipe del Campo. That's his nickname. And my project for Cantina is that we need to make that become Brian Gutierrez's nickname. We need to start pushing it out. Every time we post about him, call him El Príncipe del Campo. Like, he looks like he can be a prince in a Disney movie. He plays well. He plays in the midfield. He can control the game. We have to set a standard and start, be like El Pedro Bermudez, like start baptizing players with nicknames so it goes
Same.
viral.
Same with Mora and
Llamámesela.
Niño Polla.
Yes, el niño polla Gil Mora también.
That's my favorite. No, didn't Japan eliminate Brazil from the last World Cup?
No.
No.
Yes,
They did?
2022. Yeah, Japan
You
eliminated Brazil in
told me
2022.
so confident, me la creí.
I was looking
Yes,
for
it
it.
was
I
some-
don't see it. It was
Yes, Japan eliminated Brazil
where
in
in
penalties.
wait, in what round?
The round of quarterfinals? No, 16. Round of 16 or quarterfinals?
I don't
Yeah,
know.
I'm
Is
looking
Google
it
playing
up.
tricks on me? Cause
Yeah, they do.
Oh, Brazil, round
they,
of 16, I think.
it
Oh
says
no, they lost to Croatia. Way.
it says round of 16 they beat Korea 4-1.
What?
No, they lost. Brazil lost to Croatia. Did they lose to
And they
them in
lost
the
to-
group
they
stage though?
They lost to Croatia in the quarterfinals on PKs. Yeah, according to
Could
Google.
have been.
What?
Could have been group stage then. No,
Are we hallucinating
What a-
right now? Like, what is
no,
happening?
must have alternate universe.
Yeah, because I don't see no Brazil like Japan matchup.
I guess we are. Hmm.
Yeah, bro. Don't trust anything you
That
see on the
is-
internet.
No, man, I'm having like a little Nelson Mandela moment here. I don't know why I could have swore.
I saw it on
Japan.
Twitter and I was like, that doesn't seem right. I don't remember Brazil losing to Japan. But
Oh,
maybe in the group stage I would believe it, but not. Maybe is it 2018? Maybe no.
maybe. No, I'm looking it up. They have never even played Brazil in. That is so crazy. Where did
But
that
are you
memory
sure it
come
wasn't
from?
a Captain Tabusa? Like, you got to go deep down the rabbit hole because I think they do play Brazil at some point.
They do, but I could have swore like Japan played Brazil in the last
But
World Cup.
Now, hold on. Since this conversation has come full circle, and we're back at like Supercampeones. Güey, ¿la estás viendo en inglés o en español?
Español, papa.
¿Sabes qué? Güey, you're raising your son right because my fucking little pocho, my white king, doesn't fucking understand.
I found
when
it,
put in
guys.
Spanish.
I found it. They beat Japan beat Brazil 3-2 in a friendly in October of 2025. Their first ever victory over Brazil.
Okay, there you go.
But that was
I don't
not,
remember
Here they
that.
had beat them.
I remember
beat
like there
them
being
somewhere.
penalties, but it was
nah, bro.
Croatia. That's crazy.
Yeah, they only faced each other once, and that was in the group stage 2006. Brazil won 4-1.
Yeah.
Well, don't do drugs, kids.
But I do remember, like, when we were praising Japan last year, it was because they did go on a tear and they were beating teams like Brazil. I do remember that, but it wasn't in an official match. So this is going to be a really good one. Honestly, dude, this is probably the worst matchup for Brazil, I'll be honest. In the round of 32?
No, Japan. They're beatable. You know.
I think we're going to see
It's
our
not
first
like
upset
they're
tomorrow,
facing
dude.
Netherlands.
I don't know, man. You got to ask Albert because last time when I brought up like the Asian countries, he was dismissing them wicked hard. Que no, que Japan and Korea, that they're a fucking joke. Then this and that. Granted, Korea fucking crashed out. I understand it. Fucking that definitely went up and burned, but Mexico was largely responsible for it. We killed our best friends.
No, they killed themselves.
I just
Es el
I
putazo
just
muy,
want to
muy
say
duro.
I just want to say one thing about the Japan versus Brazil thing. It's the favorite is Brazil, man, and anyone who tells you different is it's just delusional, man. Because Brazil is the favorite because Japan's gonna play like a possession style football, and Brazil has no midfield, so you're gonna see them in their own half, and they have badass counterattackers, and they're just gonna hit Japan on the counterattack. So it's gonna be Brazil winning, but it's gonna be them betraying their soul
I don't think
or like
anyone's
losing their soul.
I don't think anyone said that Japan are favorites. I'm just saying that tomorrow I would not be surprised if is a huge upset and they actually beat Brazil. Because let's be honest, this Brazil is talented. Oh yeah, absolutely. They have players like Vinny, but dude, I think cohesively I haven't seen them like they don't pass the eye test for me, as you guys say all the time.
Zero joga bonito. Fucking zero joga bonito when I watch them play.
Man, you must not be watching Vinny,
Only
bro.
Vinny. Only Vinny.
Man, Vinny. Oi, Vinny. Rey Vinny. But as far as Japan, I've been watching a lot of accounts, like tactical accounts, break them down. And one thing that has stood out to me is that they're always moving. Like the guys that don't have the ball, they're consistently like creating runs. It's just the insane that work ethic is definitely there. And but like Rifado said, there's a reason they brought in Ancelotti, and I think it's gonna be that counter-attacking football. He did it at Madrid with Vinny, and I think este equipo is, hey, a todos a defender. Stay compact in the back, look for Vinny, and let him do his magic. So I see it playing out just like how Rifado said.
Yeah, I think with Japan, they tied Netherlands, but they also tied Sweden, and they weren't able to beat those the bigger teams. They beat Tunisia, but that's a weak opponent. I would have been more impressed had they beaten one of the other two rivals. I think it's a good opponent for Brazil.
Yo, Albert, I'm just seeing on the TL that there was a shooting in Duarte. What the fuck? During the World Cup watch party? Did you hear about that? That's like over by your hood, bro.
Welcome to America, my dear good sir. This bitch should have stayed in Mexico. Come on. Give me a couple more vibes.
Wait for more shootings?
Yo, there was 0 shootings in Mexico during FanFest.
Reported.
Reported.
No
yeah.
mames, güey. Okay. Cuando gana la selección y que salgo a mi pinche balcony y que me trueno el fusil, that's a whole different story, okay? Those are happy bullets. Like,
well, they're the reporters. They can't just report because U.S. gets found, and that's that, man. So
I mean, we launch them into the sky. We fucking go into them and go, quiere volar, quiere volar, quiere volar.
I think for a long time Mexico had the highest death rate for the press. I think now with Gaza and the Middle East problems, like they've overtaken Mexico. But for a long time, one of the most dangerous jobs in Mexico was to be a reporter.
Yeah.
And I just want to remind everyone that there was a literal torture house 1 mile, less than 2 miles away from the Estadio Corona. And so like bodies and just all kinds of satanic shit happened in there. So
Rifado, I already told you that was a Maori, man. That was a Maori. If you try to quit Omni Life and leave the Ponzi scheme, they would send you to that house.
Podologas got missing.
Yo, no. They also send you there if you don't meet your quarterly numbers. Like if you don't get enough new people to sign up.
That's crazy.
You gotta keep that
if he finds you buying bootleg jerseys and not supporting the cause, he'll send you there too.
If you don't drink Chivas Cola, al pinche sótano contigo.
The other round of 32 matches tomorrow, Germany versus Paraguay. I think this one's going to go Germany's way pretty obviously. The one that's like up in the air, man, Netherlands versus Morocco. Obviously, we've seen Morocco upset a lot of teams in the previous World Cup and got all the way to the semis. Do you think they have what it takes to beat the Netherlands?
I don't think so. Netherlands right now is playing football sexo, and also that mathematician that's predicted the 3 correct previous winners correctly. He's going with Netherlands to win it all. So he's been pretty spot on. So I think it's too soon to say goodbye to the Netherlands. And then Morocco, están jugando fútbol terrorista the same way we are. But I just think they have one of the World Cup favorites in front of them, and they're not going to be able to keep up.
That game will take place in Monterrey, which got a round of 32 match, something that I'm very salty that El Akron did not. So Guadalajara, that venue is done. They had all their games. They have no other ones left.
But all right. Hold on. Before you start like selling sour grapes and even consuming your own sour grapes, no mames, güey, you guys got la selección. Monterrey didn't. Like, this is their makeup for it. ¿Qué tan con madre hubiera sido if Mexico would have gone to all 3 venues and played in all of them? But they didn't.
I'm surprised
So
they didn't.
they get an extra game. Exactly.
Surprised. They don't even like La Selección. They think they're European. They're happy with the teams they got.
I mean, I've said it a long time ago. If
They got Japan, bro. They got the Goku and stuff. They were happy.
and the Koreans and everything. Like, no, trust me, Monterrey ate.
The Swedish
but the fact
girls?
that now they're getting this, why not?
No, if anything, they've been given more than Guadalajara. They got the anime, the Swedish girls, the Koreans, the Netherlands, Morocco. I mean, Guadalajara. What did Guadalajara get? Czechia, Korea.
Bro, you got like one of the games that was supposed to be the best. And personally, I thought it was a fucking snooze fest. You got the Uruguay game. Uruguay versus Portugal.
No, they didn't play. You're talking about Uruguay, Spain.
Uruguay, Spain, my bad.
Yeah.
Se me cruzó ese.
Yeah, Uruguay, Spain. You brought up Germany, Paraguay. That Paraguay, and you've also been talking about teams finishing in third. I told everybody that I know that bets like, hey, just bet the draw on this game. They both need a draw to move on. I just didn't expect them to play a terrible 0-0. If anyone watched that game, I feel sorry for you. If anyone paid $700, $4,000, $5,000 to go watch that 0-0 game, I feel even worse for them. FIFA definitely needs to do something for the next edition to eliminate this stuff. There's because also it's match fixing. Like these teams are going up to each other before the game, like, hey, let's just draw, all right? They're like, that's match fixing. That's illegal.
Yeah, again, I didn't think FIFA thought this through when they did this format. There should have been some other incentive for teams already qualified to not do what happened in the final group stage match. I don't know if head to head was the fair. Maybe goal differential should have been it. I don't know.
I agree. It creates more chaos.
So USA will play Bosnia, and I don't think anyone's rating Bosnia to win that match. For me, being a hater, I hope that Bosnia upsets them.
I've said on the pod before, the biggest population of Bosnians outside of Bosnia is here in St. Louis. So tomorrow's not tomorrow.
Wednesday.
Yeah, tomorrow, right?
They play on Wednesday.
Oh yeah, Wednesday. Yeah, Wednesday. It's gonna be crazy here, man. It's gonna be insane. And there's gonna be a lot of crying. I think the U.S. will easily beat Bosnia. I haven't seen anything from them to make me think otherwise. They couldn't beat Canada. They got spanked by Switzerland, and of course they beat Qatar. Everybody beats Qatar. Same way everybody bullies Abdias. It's just a given.
And one fact about Bosnia, where are they? You can't even find them on the map.
Oh man, poor girl.
For
I
that
prefer
reason,
the-
I'm rooting for Bosnia for that reason.
Yo, really
man.
quickly, have any of you watched Blue Mountain State?
No.
my dear good sir, you're fucking missing out.
I've
Blue
seen
Mountain State.
I've seen Blue Streak.
Joel
Nah,
has
yeah.
seen another mountain movie, which is not Blue Mountain.
Broke back.
Con un gargajo. That's all you need. Pero mira, güey. Fucking Blue Mountain State has one of the best fucking lines about Bosnia. I'm not gonna ruin the joke for you, but you know what? Just fuck it. We're on YouTube. Put this bitch on pause. Look it up. Blue Mountain State, Bosnia. That's it. Enjoy. Laugh your dick off.
Oh snap! Thank you for reminding me to read the YouTube comments. Holy smokes, there's a bunch. Disco says this team has to be pragmatic, and since we are not winning this, the goal is to get all the young players to move abroad and prep for 2030. Best way to do that is beating England, the MX of Europe. And there's another comment by MJ Marte saying, what do y'all make about Sanchez running back to Mexico after finessing a World Cup? Sanchez. I don't know.
Wait, who?
Yeah, he said Sanchez. He said, bro saw his spot at risk and picked a random Greek club to guarantee a spot. Oh, Jorge Sanchez?
Oh, I don't know.
You
I didn't
mean
know he was
Ochoa?
back to Mexico.
Oh no, he means Jorge Sanchez. So yeah, because Jorge Sanchez got a contract. He went to Greece, right?
Correct.
Yeah, and then now he's back at Atlas.
Oh, I didn't know that. Honestly, I have not been keeping up with transfer rumors or the moves that have been made, and don't want to focus too much on them now because it's the World Cup.
What?
But there's a lot of stuff unpacked, like Toluca going for ex-Chivas players, but we'll save it for another episode.
No, yeah. Greece probably, I doubt they pay for a lot of these players to play in a lot of European leagues. They make a lot less money. A lot. Even in top leagues, they'll make less money. So that's one of the risks that a lot of times isn't talked about. And I say risk because you'll sign a 2-3 year contract, and then at this point you're losing money, as a player. And a lot of these guys have to think about when they retire. As far as we don't give a shit, we don't know what they're doing. We don't really care. And that's, but these guys need to secure as much as they can before their career. So a lot of them don't know much outside of
you think
football.
Chucky did the right call then?
Yes. Hell yes.
Yes.
That's a dude. How much a year? 6 million? How much is he getting?
Do you
7.
He's not even playing,
Dude.
bro. He's playing
But he's
for the
getting the
Xbox
money.
at home. The most that
I'm
he plays
surprised
is
he hasn't
FIFA.
gone to
He's living
World
the
Cup.
dream,
I'm
You
with
would
bro.
you.
trade-
I'm with you. Like,
you would
I'm
trade a
100%
World
with
Cup
you.
for his contract? You would trade a World Cup, your last
Yeah,
World Cup?
he already
Yeah.
played one. Metió gol contra Germany. It ain't getting better for him. He's probably gonna be sitting in the bench, making peanuts.
You know-
Yeah, if he's playing those racing games, he could rent an actual car and drive it around the actual track.
One thing that
he has
really
that kind of money.
One thing that pisses me off about the Panini book is that I know that he's in the Panini book and he does not deserve to get any royalties and be associated with this World Cup. But there he is, collecting his check. Him and like
Hey, if he would have been playing,
Wait, he's
he
getting
would have
royalties?
gone. He would have gone. Lasco
Yeah.
would have taken him.
But then I was getting royalties for
Well, I'm sure they get something. I mean, you're in the fucking
Oh,
Panini
yeah.
book.
image rights.
Yeah, something.
Yeah. Damn. He's just.
I mean, I would
Yeah,
hope
they-
so. I mean, I would be really upset if I'm seeing people peel off my sticker and put on a book and then I'm not seeing a dime from that. Maybe the
I know what
national.
he does all day. I know he trains with their like under 20 or whatever. Or did they ban him for what the fuck does he do all day?
Jaime, for the record, their pay is the post of those girls who put their stickers all over their body. Like, that's their pay.
Mm.
Yo, you mean to tell me getting those on your DMs, you wouldn't consider it payment?
Especially what spot you might get.
You're welcome.
It's weird, man. I think you look at Jorge Sanchez, yeah, and maybe Marte is right. He just finessed Aguirre and said, "Hey, no, I'm playing in Europe. I'm competitive. All right, I'll take you to the World Cup." I mean, he took Ochoa, right? Still competing in Cyprus. So I think Aguirre was just looking for players that stayed competitive and not chase the bag like Chucky Lozano.
Well, yeah, and then they had the whole camp, and you still had to earn your spot in that month-long camp. So, and I don't think it mattered to him where you were playing as long as you were active, and then you had to beat out the other players that got called in.
I think we can all agree that Jorge Sanchez could disappear tomorrow, and we wouldn't be worried about not having him on the national team.
For sure, guys. We're almost at the 2-hour mark, so I do want to put a bow tie on this episode. It's also Sunday evening, so I appreciate you guys joining late. I know everyone has work tomorrow, so who wants to go and give us their closing thoughts first?
Bueno, I'll go first, caballeros. And what I have to say is, as we finalize the group stage, unfortunately, football is no longer going to be felt in Mexico. The World Cup is no longer going to be lived the way that it was. But the thing about all of this is, if we look back at what's happened in the last week and a half, football found its soul in Mexico. In the US, fucking swaggerless fan fest. If you saw the videos and you saw all of that, bro, why would you want to be there? Especially considering the fact that it wasn't safe. We just got those reports right now. Jaime fucking read them to us. Versus in Mexico, you had el Pato Merlín. You had un pinche chubasco en el DF. ¿Y sabes qué hicieron los putos chilangos? They started fucking playing in the rain. The streets were flooding. Y estos putos estaban haciendo the Norwegian fucking row. Mexico showed up. Mexico saved the World Cup. And now, unfortunately, we're losing that. But with all of the friendship, goodwill, y wait, con el poder de el amor, la amistad, y más que nada en creerse en sí mismo, le vamos a partir la madre a Ecuador. ¿Ok? Yo no le tengo miedo. Igual como estaba diciendo la semana pasada, tráeme a los putos ingleses aquí y les voy a enseñar a qué sabe el pinche Chile nacional. Que me los traigan. Entonces, si le tengo que partir la madre a Ecuador primero, se la parto. Y luego, if you guys see the way everything shakes off, it's going to be a difficult road. But you know what's the most important thing? Anything worthwhile was never easy. Entonces, ¿saben qué? A echar putazos y a traer la copa, carnal.
Eva.
All right. Thank you, Abdias. Who's next?
Well, real quick, I have a question before I do my closing thoughts. Just asking. Obviously, Mexico's going to win. But since we have the next 2 games guaranteed at Azteca, if Mexico were to lose against Ecuador, does the Azteca still get that one more game? So, how does that work? I'm assuming they do, right?
Yeah, I think regardless of who wins, Mexico is always going to get that round of 16 match. I mean, the Azteca, sorry. Yeah.
Okay. That's not bad. Well, yes, as far as closing thought, same thing that's already been mentioned. I see us winning, coming out on top. I still see us facing los ingleses. I still see us beating los ingleses. I think it's going to be probably our best run that we've ever had. I mean, it's already been our best group stage run. I see no reason to be afraid. At the end of the day, we are at home. We are the favorites. Their team, they have players at PSG, Arsenal, y no sé qué todo. Don't take the altitude thing like it's just altitude. Like, how bad can it be? The ball moves different. I was watching this video of this guy saying that how when the players touch it, like the more technical players, they're not used to the movement. Like, they can't give it that nice touch that they usually do. That's why you see the players also play worse because, it affects all those type of things. And as far as us with Mundial, I I couldn't say no to the FOMO, man. It just kept kicking in, seeing everybody at the World Cup. So I'm be going to KC July 10th to the 12th for the quarterfinal match. So if you're in the KC area and you're a Cantina listener, hit me up. I'll be in the Power Light District partying that whole weekend. So hopefully we get to meet some listeners.
Hell yeah, man. That sounds awesome. Who's next?
I'll go next. I was hearing about the fracaso already brought up by Habibi earlier, saying he would consider it. And I get it, I understand that, but for me, it wouldn't be. I feel fracaso is when you lose to a rival that you're supposed to beat, a match that should be in the bag. I think these opponents match up pretty evenly. As pointed out earlier, this was a team that finished high in South American qualifying. So they had that, going for them. And I just, he Riff Raff pointed it out. Mexico's been on the rise, so I think just recently we managed to catch up to them, or match up to them, I should say. It's been more recent, so I feel like we're gonna get that with a lot of opponents. We're gonna see that, I should say, where it's a lot of very even, close, even matches. So for me, and I know the format has changed, so now it's like, well, even if Mexico were to win this game, people will still say that they didn't get far or they didn't do this or that. But that's always been with the World Cup, where the format has changed throughout the years, and we've seen that same criticism of people saying that it wasn't as difficult as before. Especially if you see how the World Cup went from like 16 to 24 teams, so on and so forth. It's kind of always been the same criticism, but ultimately you have to still win those games. So I do think Mexico already did a lot to build on and have a lot to build on, because they could still fight and stay in that 10th place, just looking forward. So I would hate for that moving forward. Like, let's say the team was to crash for whatever reason, and now it's Marquez's turn, and it would suck to start it like that from a fracaso, when it's like, to me, it was, yeah, you didn't do as good as we would have liked, but there's a lot there to build from and to improve from going forward. I still feel Mexico's favorites. And I agree with the other Habibi point. I think they could make history here, winning their next games at Azteca.
Whew. Well, I believe that's everyone. I want to thank you all for joining us on this Sunday night. We will be podcasting maybe tomorrow. I don't know. We'll have to talk internally, but we have 3 elimination matches tomorrow. It'd be nice to get some reactions. If not, just know that we will be here after the Mexico-Ecuador game on Tuesday. So stay tuned for that episode. For me, it would be such a shame for this incredible run that Mexico's on, unscathed in the group stage. Perfect run, 9 out of 9 points, 0 goals conceded. It'd be a shame for it to be ended so abruptly against Ecuador, but that is a real possibility. So I'm taking this one game at a time. I don't want to talk about England. I don't want to talk about our route to the final. Let's just take care of what's in front of us, and that's Ecuador, a team that should be respected, will not be underestimated by Aguirre. We will probably see some Haram ball, but in the end, I do believe we can beat them, and hopefully we maintain that clean sheet and continue this aura and this impenetrable fortress in El Estadio Azteca. So with that, I want to thank you all. If you listen to this later tomorrow, make sure to follow us on Spotify. It really helps us out. Thank you, and we'll catch you on the next one. Good night.